Hi Virgo, this is your forecast for the month of December 2018. This is a general reading for Virgo Sun, Virgo Rising, or Virgo Moon. For a more rounded overview, please watch your rising and moon sign as well. So Virgo, this first week you're dealing with water energy. For some of you, this means contact with a Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female, or perhaps just the traits of this night will be important. And this is going to be a week that may be rather emotional. You may be making emotional connections, dealing with psychological issues. This could be a week where you're very creative. You're dealing with artists or you're acting as one. You're focused on your dreams, something that you idealize. In other cases, this is a week that focuses on protection, rooting for the underdog. You may be, again, dealing with psychological issues where there's therapy or counseling or somebody that's emotionally oriented. And for others of you, you are seeking some kind of perhaps spiritual peace. You may be mediating or helping or consoling somebody. So there could be a lot going on emotionally. This is also the holiday period, so you may be focused on entertainment and amusement and social activities or your romantic partnerships. So you could be, either extending yourself in some way or receiving something, an agreement, a proposal, an offer of some sort. This could be somebody you form a union with, could be a new relationship. And this is a week where you are very psychologically savvy. You can read people, you know what to say, how to win, because you understand the psychological mechanism that's going on. And it allows you to get ahead or to beat out a rival or to get exactly what it is that you desire. So for some of you, you are feeling the emotion, and perhaps more so than you expected or intended. You're feeling something. And you're also trying to manifest something. Again, it could be a creative desire, a love conquest, an agreement of some sort, but you're putting your investment into it and you're focusing your will in order to create something. However, negatively, it could be that something is not quite out in the open. Somebody's playing their cards close to their chest. It could be you, someone you're involved with. Somebody's not revealing everything. Somebody's not being completely honest about something. Now, for some of you, this may mean you're involved in a situation where you're getting the short end of the stick. You're being swindled out of something, or somebody may be cheating. It could be that, someone lacks personal boundaries, or they're not taking responsibility for their actions, or they're deliberately misleading you in some way, or you them. So somebody is being deliberately vague and they're not telling the whole truth. This could also be a week where you're dealing with people who, are shamelessly brown-nosing in some way. Maybe they want to get on your better side, so they're saying all of those sweet things that you want to hear, or perhaps that's your strategy. So this could be a week where you're dealing with situations that are not on the up and up. Some kind of deception, some kind of trickery, or something going on behind the scenes, or somebody revealing a secret, or somebody being duplicitous in some way. Or it could mean that you need to change your mindset and not be so stuck in a particular way of thinking. Now, the second week, you have the Knight of Wands. This is fire energy. So this could be an Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female, or just the traits of this night. And so last week, you could have been emotionally sensitive. Perhaps you were working on some kind of offer, invitation, agreement, union, or some creative project. And this is the week where you feel enthusiastic. You want to get moving on it. Perhaps you were negotiating, or you're still involved in some kind of negotiation. You may even be debating which direction, but you are on the move. And maybe you're in a competitive situation where you're trying to gain that advantage, and having that psychological know-how or the emotional savvy to outwit somebody or to get ahead or gain an advantage is going to be important. And this is a week where your intuition is very strong. You're very perceptive about things. And it's a high energy week where there's a lot of activity, a lot of coming and going. And as a matter of fact, you may be traveling, taking a trip, and perhaps that was centered on the agreement or the connection that you were forming. But this is a week that's very high energy, very fast pace. And so for some of you, you will be traveling, or perhaps you want to be on the move. This is a week where you don't necessarily want to commit to something. You don't want to settle down. And perhaps you were kind of holding back all of the information because you didn't want to fully commit. Or you're involved in some kind of amusement, something holiday oriented, where you're focused on having fun. You don't want to really work or focus on anything in particular, just what feels good. For others of you, you are up for some kind of challenge. It could be a new project. Maybe you're an entrepreneur or you're entertaining others, entertaining a romantic interest. And this is a week where you're going to be very magnetic if this night is representing you. You know how to show your partner a good time. You attract attention. And you can be very generous, although again, whatever you're doing may have the ulterior motive of looking out for number one or somebody connected to you. So this is a week where you could be very determined, very persevering. You want to achieve your goals. You're on a quest. You're on a mission. And again, your intuition is heightened. If somebody's been holding something back from you, you're not going to be easily fooled this week. And there can be, such a desire to win that you become less sensitive to other people's feelings. So this is a week where, if last week an offer was put out there, an invitation, some kind of extension of some sort, this is the week where you may get moving on that. But it's going to be important to follow through on that passion, because this is a night who can, get excited in the beginning but fall short on the end. So some of you are going to suddenly either begin something or end something, some kind of pursuit or relationship. You're going to extend yourself in some way. So some of you will be on the receiving end. You're going to accept an offer, a date, a proposal, even though perhaps maybe you weren't even looking for that. Or you are extending yourself, and maybe surprisingly so. You may put something out there that you hadn't initially anticipated, and you couple up or agree to do something. And so this could be a week of celebration, good news. Some doors could be opening, and again, you may be traveling. But there is a timing issue. Something is off. As perceptive as you may be, something that you emotionally invested in, some kind of agreement, a plan that you thought would be a winning proposition may fall through. And likewise, there could be something that you really didn't give a lot of credit to, and that becomes a success, and that may be the good news that you weren't expecting. But timing will be an issue this week. Now, the third week, you have the Nine of Swords. So there's some kind of anxiety. It could be maybe you did something impulsively. You impulsively formed an agreement, or there was a lack of commitment to something. Or perhaps you're anxious about something, anxious to get going, anxious to move ahead. So there's some worry, perhaps, in some cases, again, something that you didn't put stock in comes through. There's some renewed hope for the future. And maybe you're going to be freed from some kind of situation that you really weren't comfortable with. For others of you, somebody's deceptive. Somebody's been an abuser, and, they may have done something, could have even been an abusive situation where they're likely to commit that again. So in some cases, you're having some worry, perhaps guilt, if this was a romantic relationship that you formed on the fly, or it wasn't in your best interest, or outside of your partner. Or you may feel some extreme stress about trying to create something, trying to manifest something. For others of you, maybe you're even in some state of depression where you don't quite understand it. Maybe you end up having some crying spells, or you can't sleep at night because you're so worried about something, or you're worried about someone else. It could be that these are unfounded fears. It may not be, as bad as you think it is. It's all your perspective. So you could be coming out of a situation where there's a new dawn on the horizon and you have nothing to worry about. You have to be careful, though, that you don't allow others to exploit your fears. Or maybe this is going to be a week where you're going over some old ground, and you may even feel mentally exhausted by that, because there is something that you want to manifest. There's something that you want to do. And, it could be forming a partnership, creating something. It could have to do with a romance or some amusement of some sort. And you can't stop thinking about it to the point that, again, you can't sleep. It's taking up your mind space. It's mental noise. And so it may be important for you to take a break this week to recharge your perspective, especially if last week was very busy and high energy. Because you're probably not seeing things for what they are. There are more options on the table that you realize, and it could be that you've been holding yourself back in some way because of your pride, or because you misread circumstances, or perhaps the timing was off, or you didn't have a handle on your emotions, or your principles wouldn't allow you to do something. And so it may center around your expression. Could be your creative expression, doing what you love, or expressing your joy. Maybe you've been holding something back. For some of you, this is about, a lack of commitment to your health. You haven't been taking care of yourself. So your energy could be running on low right now. And you may be dealing with some kind of illness. Or you may be worried about others. Or there could be something that you hadn't revealed, that you were holding back, and you feel some guilt about that. And there's a need to release something, to say something, or perhaps what someone else needs to release. So for some of you, you could be dealing with, maybe there's some worry because that Knight of Wands is not telling the truth, or maybe, it's some opportunity that arrives, or somebody is acting as an opportunist. Somebody is not trustworthy. So for some of you, there are issues of conflict that is a problem. Or somebody is, promising something, but they don't come through on their agreement, and they change their mind perhaps at the last minute. So for some of you, again, taking the time out, letting yourself just walk away from a situation or a relationship that you can't save is your challenge this week. Now, the third week, you have the Seven of Wands. And so, again, you may be on the defensive. Maybe you're worried about that, or you feel guilt, or you feel like you've been bullied and you need to protect yourself. So this is about trying to gain some kind of advantage, trying to make something happen, or feeling like you're under attack in some way. Now, this could all be in your mind. It could be a perception, some obstacle. You're waiting for some kind of sneak attack, or, there's an unknown adversary out there, or you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Or it could be that, you're having to stand up for yourself, and, you're worried or anxious about that. Now, you could be worried about defending yourself or anxious to do it. So there's something that you need to overcome, and it may involve a risk, having a strategy, being calculating, having the correct timing, to push through some kind of obstacle where you want to gain an advantage. For some of you, you're in a position of advantage. Maybe you are trying to rally people to your side. You're trying to wield your influence. You're, gathering the troops, the forces for the underdog to overcome a challenge. So it's going to be very important, your expression. Whatever you haven't been saying or needed to say, and how you deliver it is going to be important, because this could be a week where you either regain control or you lose it. So mastery over your choices and taking responsibility is going to be important, because this is a week where something is going to come to a head. You're going to have to assert yourself And you're going to have to know what the goal is. Your sense of purpose is going to be important. Positively, this week offers you the opportunity to make some beneficial changes in your relationships. Unless you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you feel like you want to give up, or you feel vulnerable. You actually retreat from a confrontation because you realize that you're at a disadvantage. So for some of you, there's some anxiety caused from running away from your problems, or about a decision that you have to make, or a fear about the future, a missed opportunity, and in some cases, perhaps you're trying to gain an advantage over an illness. This is a week that requires you to be adaptable and flexible in order to gain. Otherwise, if you can't roll with the punches, you may get run over. This is going to be a week where there's both opportunity and challenge, a karmic situation where you're going to have to try just a little bit harder. You're going to have to find that muster to keep going. You're going to have to be very persistent to reach your goals. And again, timing could be the issue that's at play. So regardless if you have something daunting and huge that you're trying to tackle, or even the smallest of tasks, you're going to have to be especially focused. For some of you, people may be seeking you out. Maybe you're worried about that. You're going to have to say something that maybe you wanted to keep to yourself. Maybe they're looking for your advice or your assistance. And in some cases, you feel overwhelmed. You're having to rearrange your own priorities, to reconsider your own position. And so again, it's going to be important how you defend yourself against attack, how you rally people to your side, how you inspire or motivate others to achieve your goals, especially if you're trying to form a partnership, an agreement, or a union of some sort. For others of you, you may feel, again, that you are under siege, that no matter what you do, perhaps there's been a lack of follow-through, and you end up feeling victimized because there's so many demands and you're not making anybody happy, or different people are asking things of you. Maybe you're conflicted about who to serve, who to help, what to reveal. And because of that, you may end up taking your frustrations out on the wrong people. So this is about gaining an advantage. And love is involved, whether that's a romantic partner or, a loving connection with somebody. So this may be focused on trying to gain an advantage in giving and receiving love. You may be anxious for that connection, and there could be issues that center around gaining advantage through your generosity or that of others, or whether you gain the advantage by looking out for yourself, protecting yourself, loving yourself, and perhaps seeking out more loving connections where people are actually committed. Now, the underlying energy is this Two of Wands. And so you're doing a review of something, an opportunity, business, your finances, travel, forming a partnership. So you could be involved in some kind of negotiation, and perhaps you're waiting for an answer with regard to something. You're having to take stock. And once again, this is a month that focuses on who's in control. Is it you, or are you losing the control? Are you dominating other people, or other people bullying you and taking over? So it's important, again, to have a sense of purpose, to see the big picture, to have a vision, and to use your power to go after it. And it may be a month that requires you to take a risk, to be bold, but the timing has to be right. There's an opportunity. And so you may be in a waiting period before you make your move. It's going to be important that you are realistic, that you are taking stock and getting involved with the facts rather than, dealing with your idealism. Something at work, at home, or both is going to put an opportunity out there for you to make some changes perhaps that you've been waiting for. And so you're at a doorway where you can make an important choice for yourself. And the fortunate thing is, either way, you have other people's blessings. You can take it or leave it. It's all up to you. Now, you may have the opportunity again to do some traveling, to form a partnership or an agreement, to prove your point to someone, to be cleared of something, or to remove yourself from a situation, whether that's a job, a relationship, or a circumstance that you don't want to be a part of, depending on how you feel about it, what your attachment is to circumstances, to the people, and to the outcome. And for some of you, it may have to do with some kind of invitation, perhaps to socialize, or again, to start a new romance or a new friendship or some opportunity. It may require that you get out there more. Maybe there's been a lack of commitment, or maybe you're anxious to put yourself out there. There's a need to get out into the community, to get out of your shell, perhaps to say something you've been holding back. But others of you, you have some anxiety because you've been putting something off. You've been procrastinating because you're unsure of your footing. You may have had an advantage, but you're not sure if that's going to last, or you don't believe in your own capabilities, or you're getting a lot of pushback from others where, again, you can't please them. There are a lot of demands. And so you're meeting with resistance rather than support. And it could be that your lack of belief, your lack of commitment to your emotions, to your intuition, to yourself, creates some indecision that leaves you vulnerable. It leaves you open to being bullied, intimidated, abused, manipulated, because you haven't been trusting yourself and your own instincts. Again, this is a cautionary card about making a move and using your own personal will to make something happen, but based on fact rather than impulsiveness, because you could make a decision or create some kind of disturbance based on an assumption rather than fact. So for some of you, again, you're doing some kind of a review. You may feel like you're spread too thinly, either financially, by work obligations, people wanting too much from you emotionally. And maybe you have to look at, changing your position, being more flexible. You're certainly going to become aware of what you're receiving in return from other people. And again, for some of you, this centers on some kind of invitation. You're doing a review. Now, you have no major cards, so whatever's going on in your life, and in spite of what it may feel, even any difficulties are going to pass through, blow in like the wind, and blow out. You're largely pulling the strings. You have more options than you're aware of. And this is going to be a month of change. There's some instability, could be some unrealistic plans, or you could be still working out something where the details are not fully formed. For some of you, this involves a legal or a court case. And for others of you, this may involve protecting someone, or being involved in a rivalry, or being conflicted with someone else or with yourself, because these two nights have very different energy. So there's something you're involved in that connects to your desires, and you're inspired to take an older matter to a new level, or you're going to start something new. And whatever's happening is going to tend to unfold or escalate rather quickly. And it's likely to pertain to your relationships where there's an unexpected turn of events, either in your personal or professional goals and your agreements. And you're doing this review. Maybe you're involved in discussions or negotiations or transactions where you're trying to gain an advantage. And you're having to look at your partnerships, your agreements, and whether those are working for you constructively, or are you working against yourself in some kind of self-defeating manner. There will be some delays. Perhaps there's a decision, but it should not be rushed. So logic is going to be your go-to to help you in a situation that may be spinning out of control where there are no winners. Somebody may need some motivation. They may need a pep talk to recover from perhaps a broken heart or a disappointment. So some of you may be involved in marriage counseling, or you may be dealing with issues where there's pain, anger, confusion, betrayal. There also, for some of you, could be a decision regarding a profession that's unsuitable. Maybe you don't like the work that you do, or you need to change, or you're not getting the results that you want. But because of that, you're inspired to go in a new direction and you're getting more creative. Now, for some of you, this is centering on the inability to have a close relationship. So by the end of the month, you may be coming up with a plan, something that you've really thought out, and trying to put that into motion. Maybe you're trying to influence others or inspire others or motivate others through speaking. For some of you, there may be a sudden change in your career, a complete lifestyle change, or you're reinventing your life in some form. Your challenge number is number 7. And by challenge, I mean you're going to spend a lot of time, you're going to be more busy, more active, focused on the connection to number 7. Your resolutions are going to take more time. Number 7 is going to have more significance to your future. And it ties again to your partnerships. There's a spiritual quality to your situation. You are being tested through your desires and a change of plan. All right, Virgo, I hope you enjoyed this reading. Let me know with your comments, and don't forget to subscribe. You can also support me on Patreon, join me on my blog for daily posts, on Instagram, over at Vimeo, and of course, you can always book a personal reading at thealchemistastrologer.com.